First, we at WagerTalk would like to thank everyone as a record number of you took advantage of our Thanksgiving 7-day special. We hope you enjoyed the convenience of getting your favorite handicappers plays daily during the hectic holiday weekend, and we also know that December can be a crazy month. Now we are offering a rest of calendar year special. Get every NFL, college bowl game, NBA, NHL, college basketball games, and all other sports of your favorite handicapper through December 31st for only $249. The early bird really does catch a worm for this special as it starts the day you sign up. No coupon needed, pay only $249 today or pay $249 in a few days. The choice is simple. Let's have a great ending to 2021.
Happy Friday, guys. Welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McInnis. I have Carmine Bianco with me, just the two of us for today. Guys, I'm looking forward to the weekend. It has been a great week of NHL games. We got some great games tomorrow. Decent card on tap for tonight. I'm feeling pretty good, though. Of course, we got NFL on Sunday. We're going to have lots of promo stuff here on the show today. Lots of things to mention heading into the weekend, but 4 games to discuss: the Sharks, Rangers, Devils, Jets, Flames, Ducks, and Oilers and Kraken will be the nightcap game for us. Best bets at the end of the show. Carm, happy Friday, man.
Yes, happy Friday. It was almost a miserable Thursday. If you looked at those games last night, my God, just some huge comebacks. The Florida game against the Sabres, down 3-0, and then they score seven goals to win that game, 7-4. What a game! I had the Panthers, Florida, in Andrew, as you know, as a puck line bet, and that looked dead in the water. So I don't even know. That pretty much saved my evening because my other play went down. The Islanders losing in OT, but they played good. I thought they played well, and it bodes well for them going forward in that 6 or 7 game span that I talked about. They picked up a point and shook off some of the rust, but some of those games are absolutely crazy, Andrew. We talked about who was going to be the team that spoils the parlays for people. And I think it was the Washington Capitals. It was also the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Hurricanes. I'm talking football now. It's just some insane games last night in NHL. I'm glad there's only like 4 or 5 games tonight to give us a bit of a break before a huge weekend schedule.
It's pretty incredible, Carm, this year. How many, last year, if you were a favorite of minus 200, 250, we always talk about not betting those big favorites, but those big favorites were hitting consistently last year. It wasn't really an issue. If you had a huge favorite, they were a big favorite for a reason. This year has not been like that whatsoever. There's been big upsets pretty much every second day, it seems like. And I'll tell you what, last night was one of those nights where I'm happy that over the past 2.5, 3 weeks, I've turned into low volume McInnis, because right now I had just one play last night. It was the Calgary Flames, and I'm happy it was just one play for me, because I would have been involved in some of those games that were kind of shaky. And I just had that feeling watching that Washington game. They got that lead in the third period. They were sitting on it. They get scored on with a few minutes to go in the period. Overtime solves nothing. They lose that game in a shootout. So another big favorite goes down, like you said. But man, first of all, what a win for you on that puck line for the Florida Panthers, Carm. Like, I tweeted out during that game, I wouldn't be even surprised if the Panthers come back. And we have that group chat, you, Prez, and myself, and we were just like shocked about that start. Buffalo goes up 3-0. And I'll tell you what, their defense hasn't looked the same since Coach Q resigned from their team. Coaching staff, coaches in general, it's completely underrated how much a new voice in the room means to a team. And I'll tell you, it seems like this team defensively right now is in shambles.
Yeah, it's tough for the team, but at home they're just phenomenal. You have to go back to last season. I think 10 games into like last season to find a second loss at home. They're 13-1 at home thus far this season. They just win games at home. The Q leaving, having to leave. I think the team is something like 8-7 or 9-6, something like that. over that span. A lot of those games obviously were on the road, where they struggled a bit. But at home, this team they're going to be so tough to beat at home, game in, game out, and it bodes well for them, come playoff time. So I love the way they're playing. I can't believe that the Sabres scored 4 goals on them and put them in a hole. But last night, in the first periods, if you guys were watching those games, you're thinking to yourself, my God, this is going to be a dog kind of night. Like I said, that was the only win on my card, Andrew. I lost with the Islanders. I had a small parlay as well, too, that lost because of Carolina Hurricanes losing to the Ottawa Senators. So it could have been a much worse night, let me tell you. I almost feel like 1 and 2 nights. It's a losing night. It felt like a winning night, the way that those games were going. And I was out with some friends watching both hockey and the Thursday night football game last night. So just seeing those scores come across and getting some in-game wagers, which helped out, I think, overall. I didn't get a chance to tweet them out just because I was watching the games and out with friends. But in-game was probably the way to go yesterday. You could have made some money there.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. It was funny, Carm. I got to say, somebody messaged me, one of my buddies I hadn't talked to in a while. Andrew, I saw you on a hot streak. What do you like tonight in the NHL? And I messaged him back. And I said, man, I think it's going to be quite the chalky night. I think it's going to be favorites taking care of business. And of course, Ottawa wins, Washington loses. We saw Florida go down 3-0. So, never safe taking some of these big favorites, that's for sure. But let's jump into these games. Go ahead, Carm.
No. I was just going to say, I'm echoing the same thought. We talk about it all the time. This is why I'm uncomfortable laying the big number and telling you guys, okay, take this team at -200, -220. It's because you lose a game like some of those ones last night, Washington or Carolina. You're in the hole. You've got to win 2 to break even, and losing with that -220. Those ones do go down. They weren't last year. They are this year. You're noticing a lot of 200 or higher favorites going down. It's a different. Last year, 56 game season. This year, 82 games. You're getting backup goalies. It's just, I'm not saying it's load management, but it's a different scenario this year than it was last year, where the number 1 goalies started a majority of the games for their teams.
Definitely. Well, speaking of -200s, the Rangers are -200 at Madison Square Garden tonight. San Jose, they're on the road, +170 dogs. Totals at 5.5. San Jose has won 3 straight games. The Rangers have won 4 straight games. Rangers fresh off that 4-1 win over Philly. They've just looked great defensively, not just offensively, Carm, but you and I talk about Igor Shesterkin. The play and the level that he's at is just unbelievable. And I was mentioning this on a show a couple days ago, talking about how I'm not trying to have any hot takes or make any big statement when I say this, Carm. I truly believe that these European players, they get a lot of attention. But I feel like if he was Canadian or American, Igor Shesterkin would be on every single NHL website or blog you can find right now, because the way he is playing is unbelievable. And the level that he's at and the way that he controls rebounds, keeps his team in games, is just great. And I'm happy to see the recognition he's getting. And he's also seems like a very humble guy as well. But man, the Rangers have their goaltender. You want to use the word rebuild. It wasn't much of a rebuild for this Rangers team, because they've looked really strong. They've got great young players, but guys like Chris Kreider that continue to get it done. Artemi Panarin doing well. And the San Jose Sharks here, like I said, 3 straight wins, but Carm, those wins, Chicago, New Jersey, and the New York Islanders. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, you go back even further than that, other than the loss to the Leafs, the win over the Sens. So yeah, they've won 5 of their last 6. Again, you can only play who they put in front of you, but they're putting a good team in front of them tonight. Since that loss to Calgary, I think it was 4 weeks ago, where they lost 6-0 at the end of a road trip, this team has won 8 of their last 9. The only loss was a 2-1 loss in Toronto to the Leafs. They are beating teams, and they're beating some good teams as well too. You look at sort of their schedule of games. The streak started with the Panthers. the Bruins 2 games ago. They're doing it, and they're scoring goals. The thing is here is, again, it's a big price, Andrew, and I would probably look at regulation instead of laying that price, or maybe even the puck line with them, because they're winning games by margins, 4-1, 5-2, 4-1, 5-3. They're winning games by margins. So you could take it in regulation, you could take it in a puck line. I'm still not going to lay $1.92, or it's probably going to hit 200 by game time. I would look at the under too. Usually you won't look at the under if you like a puck line, but San Jose's winning because they're playing well defensively. You look at they've allowed 3 goals in those 3 games on this 3-game road trip thus far. They're playing well as also. But the thing I don't like is they're 2-5 in the tail end of a back-to-back. At least that was their record this last year. They're in New York. They're still in New York, so it's not the travel. It's just having to play the very next day, and you're playing against a very good team. Again, look to make sure it's Shesterkin in net tonight. It's not confirmed as of yet. I think it's Reimer confirmed for the Sharks, but you want to have your best goalie in net for the Rangers, and they're playing so well right now. I can't see why they would give them the night off. So Rangers for me, regulation, puck time, and a lean to the under. There's a trio of what I like in this game, Andrew.
Great stuff, Carm. And I'll just agree with you on the under in this game. It's just, I talked about Shesterkin, but Optimus Rhyme, James Reimer, he's played really well too. 2.11 goals against average. He's swallowing everything up. And, his rebound control has been great as well. And it's really helped out the defenseman of the San Jose Sharks. So I'm going to hope for a defensive, low-scoring game. I just worry that with San Jose, I know you always kind of rebuttal with me when I talk about scheduling because you can only play who's in front of you. But I just worry with them seeing a team, with guys like Panarin, Kreider, Capo Caco, so many guys that can score. That might be a little different for them tonight than, like you said, what they were playing before. But I do think we'll see an under 5.5 here and a good defensive game. Let's not forget that game against the Flyers for New York. Philadelphia had some chances. It was just great goaltending by Shesterkin. So although the score sheet read 4-1, I still think New York will want to clean things up and have even a better defensive performance tonight when they play against the Sharks. Let's get to game 2. The Devils taking on the Jets here. We have the Jets, big favorites. Talking about big favorites opening up this show. The New Jersey Devils are plus 165 on the road. Total's at 5.5 once again. In this game here, Carmen, I'll just throw it to you because I always say this. I don't think this team justifies this price, and it's something I say quite often. But when it comes down to it, we simply haven't seen scoring from the Winnipeg Jets on a consistent basis. We haven't, and the New Jersey Devils have been involved in some high-scoring games. But one thing about them is they're very high up there in goals against per game on a large scale. Do you think this could be a game where Winnipeg could find their scoring touch and put some in the net?
I think it does. If nothing else, they need a big output game because they've lost 6 of 7. They're struggling to score. In those 6 losses, they've scored a total of 6 goals. That is bad. You're going to lose games when you're only averaging a goal a game. I don't care who is in net for you. You're just going to lose the games. You look at their last game was against Arizona. They come home off a quick little 3-game road trip, and they lose 1-0 to Arizona at home. So this is a team that clearly is struggling. But you want to talk about struggles, the Devils are right there. Devils, a good start to the season. They were playing well, not winning games in bunches, but competing and picking up wins. But now they're in full-blown struggle mode, regression. They've lost 7 of their last 9. They've allowed 30 goals in those 7 losses. That's got to be music to the ears of the forwards on this Winnipeg team, with a team that's coming in and struggling. I think you can only look one way, and that's as far as the total is, and the over, and just figure that the lack of keeping the puck out for the New Jersey Devils is probably something that's going to help the Jets. But they're going to compete. This is one of those ones that you kind of see like a 4-3 score line in there somewhere. And that's more than enough to get us over the total. So I'm not going to lean either way because there's 2 teams that are struggling. Combined, they've lost 13 of their last 16 games. I can't find a winner in the bunch here, but I'm going to look for goals.
Yeah, and if Winnipeg does win this game, in games the Devils have lost, like you said, it hasn't been just by, a 2-1 type of game. It's been by giving up goals. And they played last night against the Wild. They gave up 5 goals last night. I like the over as well, Carm, but I go down the list of the Winnipeg Jets and look at what they've done as far as goal production recently. And this year in my NHL handicapping, I've really tried not to play the want this to happen type game instead of what I've seen happen. And right now, I just haven't seen the Winnipeg Jets score, but I really, really do think this could be the game they do it against. Hopefully a fatigued New Jersey team. We probably won't see Blackwood in nets, which will be a good thing for us. And their defensemen have been prone to turnovers. And, you're playing a Winnipeg team that has lots of big bodies. They'll get pucks deep and hit you hard and kind of get you worn down a little bit. So, and I do think the Devils could contribute to this over as well. So I'm right there with Carm. So far, 2 straight totals, him and I both agreeing on. And I like this over 5.5. So let's get a messy game. Let's see a Winnipeg Jets team, Carm, just explode for goals. All these games, they've been struggling to get goals. Let's see them explode tonight. Same thing with the Devils. Both Carm and I looking at the over 5.5 Jets and Devils. I want to throw it to you, Carm, just to ask you what's going on for you this weekend at WagerTalk. Obviously, a big weekend, lots of sports going on, man.
Yeah, it's going to be an action-packed one. I always say in any of my write-ups or on Twitter, Fridays are the best time to get a 3-day all-access package, Andrew, because you're going to get all the Friday games and then pretty much every sport on Saturday and Sunday. It's action-packed with college football, NFL, soccer, NHL. There's just a ton. I have a 5% play up in NHL for tomorrow, and then I also have an NFL 5% up. So those are 35 just themselves. So picking up the 3-day all-access for 69. You're getting probably about 4 or 5 different cards over the next 3 days. So it's not a bad deal and way to go. But a very good November, and I'm hoping to carry that over into December as well too, and run out this the last 2 months of this year with some big profits for the clients.
Great stuff. Yeah, and I'm with you. I didn't really want November to end, Carm. When it's a great month, sometimes you just don't even want to turn the page into the next month. But let's both have a great December. UFC, I'm back in action. I want to mention this to all of you guys out there that might not know me for UFC. I'm actually number 1 at WagerTalk in 5% UFC plays this year, 2021 calendar year. Number 1 with 5% plays, MMA. And I have one tomorrow night in the UFC. Also 5% play in CFL. So 2 5% plays in the same day, Carm. Obviously 2 different sports, but super excited about it. CFL playoffs. And I'll also be giving out a free CFL play on WagerTalk today with Prez and Teddy shortly after puck time is finished. And 17-1 hockey run, so that continues to roll. And tomorrow, big hockey slate. Just wanted to kind of throw it out there, get some promotions in the middle of this show. And then we'll keep this train on the tracks. Let's get back to action here with the Calgary Flames and the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim, this is a team, man. They just keep on scoring. They keep on playing shocker. This is a team that, if you look at some of the more profitable teams in the NHL right now, they are up there. And it's, like Brian Leonard likes to tell us, Carm, they keep getting these prices from the bookmakers and people keep on taking them. The Vegas Golden Knights, well, they had plenty of rest. Maybe it was too much rest and it turned into rust because Anaheim jumped on Vegas early. That game turned into a bloodbath. It was 1-0 after the first period, ended 6-5. And unfortunately, the reason why I know so much about that my big streak, Ducks screwed me over a little bit there, Carm. But they're looking good, man. They're finding a way to get it done. Calgary, they played last night. They got the win. What happens here tonight between these two teams?
I think the price is right, to use a pun, but it's good enough for me to want to take Calgary because you're only laying, I think, what is it, about $1.30 on this game with the Flames. The Flames are the type of team that can give Anaheim fits, Andrew. Like you look at Anaheim's losses over the last couple of weeks, and their games, the teams that are not only playing well defensively, but can put the puck in the net, and that is the Flames. They lost. Anaheim lost to Toronto 5-1 at home. They lost to Colorado. Those are teams that again, as I said, are getting secondary scoring, number one. So you're just not shutting down one line. You've got to shut down two lines and sometimes three. That's a difference with Toronto, I think, this year, is they're getting some secondary scoring as well, too, with some good defensive play. Those are the teams that Anaheim struggles against, and they're going to struggle against this Calgary team, I think. The Flames have the best goal differential in the West right now. Like, they're plus 30 in their goal differential, 75 scored, 45 against. That is pretty good. The Oilers are second, and that they're only at 21 goal differential. We'll get to that game next, but you look at them, they're like 7-1-2, their last 10. And I'm just worried about the fact that this is the third in 4 nights for the Ducks. It also is for the Flames, but it's the fourth and 6 nights for the Ducks as well, too. And those were some high-octane games that they've played over the last 4 or 5 nights. So do they throw in a clunker tonight? I think that they very well could. I'm going to take the Flames at a short price. I like the fact I only have to lay about 120 to 130 on this game with a team that I think is clearly one of the best right now in the West.
Carm, we talk sometimes about how the show could be a little more entertaining to viewers if you and I are disagreeing. We haven't really found much of that today. I'm right there with you. And, with Calgary playing a back-to-back, I had them last night, and, it came down to the wire, but I still think they really carried momentum in that game quite well. And you mentioned some of the great numbers on the Calgary Flames. Their road numbers have been so good. Some teams have a really, really different road versus home split goal production wise. Don't tell the Calgary Flames that, because they don't know the difference between where they are in location. Geographically, they get it done on the road. They take care of business. And the Anaheim Ducks, there was a time where they used to be a dead nut under team. And now they're a team that gets in goal fests, trading goals, one goal. And against Calgary here, playing the second half of the back-to-back, actually a decent defensive team with 2 great goaltenders. I'll look towards the under as well. It's kind of funny because the Ducks have played so many games. Calgary on the back-to-back, you might think it could be a recipe for an over. But I think fatigue in this instance for Anaheim might lead towards some goal-scoring issues. I think Calgary is playing really well right now on the road. But I do like Calgary at this short price here, even though they're playing their second game in as many days. And, it's funny, Carm, because we talk about that quite a bit in hockey. But for me lately, I've just only really been caring about betting against back-to-back spots when it's a bad team. If it's a good team, it doesn't affect me as much, Looking at back-to-back spots, fading the teams that are in the bottom half of the standings. You got a team like Calgary playing pretty good hockey. They're playing their second game in as many nights. Doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, it's the back-to-backs, you use relevant information for that. But last year it was, you could find a lot of back-to-back spots where teams just absolutely struggled in the second game. We've seen a little bit of it, but it's just too early in the season. As we get to that midway point, you're going to start to see it, because you're going to start to see teams protect their starting goalies once they hit that 50 and 60 game mark. And you're not going to see someone like a Shesterkin in net every other night or every night, or a Jack Campbell. You're going to see them resting their goalies. They know that you're in a playoff spot. You're now gearing up for the playoffs, and that's where the back-to-backs really come into play. It's way too early in the season. We're 20 some odd games, I think, into the season. It's still too early for that to be something that you make the primary point of your handicapping, but you have to take it into consideration. And this is why I'll talk about last year's numbers as far as back-to-backs go with some of these teams, because they haven't really played them this year, maybe once or twice. The relevant info is how did they do last year, and that was in a 56-game schedule. So We'll see how that is sort of moving forward, Andrew.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different, that's for sure. Last game up here, then we have Carmine's infamous 6 in 60, where we get to see Carmine rattle off a bunch of picks in just 1 minute. Edmonton and Seattle. Seattle back at home here, plus 110. Edmonton minus 130 on the road. Total is at 6 in this game. And I'll just say this, Carm, before I throw it over to you. I look at this game, and it, to me, is an epitome of what I've said about the Seattle Kraken. They are going to compete, and they are going to defeat the teams they should beat. And when you look at their schedule, you look at the games they've played, games like against Buffalo, games like even against Chicago and stuff like that. They're going to compete in those games. They're going to kind of contend. Even against Detroit, they lost that one 4-3. But a game like Edmonton, they're outclassed. They don't have the guys that can line up with them. And, I always talk about line depth. I talk about it the most in the playoffs. But right now, the Seattle Kraken have a handful of players that you have to rely on if you are if you're betting on them. You need these guys to score. And that's worrisome for me. And some people might look at me and say, well, Andrew, isn't it kind of the same thing with the Edmonton Oilers? The fact of the matter is, not anymore. Zach Hyman got a hat trick last game for the Edmonton Oilers against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is not just the McDavid show anymore. It is not just the Draisaitl show anymore. And I continue to discuss that with the Oilers. Let's also mention Mikko Koskinen, a guy that's been great in the blue paint for the Edmonton Oilers. The defensemen have been a lot better for them. And, Seattle back at home, first game. It just, to me, seems like such a short price here on the Edmonton Oilers, Carmen. And I can't really understand it. But I'm not really buying what the Kraken are selling me. There's going to be times where I'll find some bet on spots for them, but this is not one of them.
No, listen, and I get it. When Seattle wins a game, it doesn't come as a surprise, much like if the Sabres reel off a win, because you look at it. Even the bookmakers understood that Seattle was a better team than most expansion teams. Forgettable, Vegas, that is an anomaly just because of the way that draft was set up. But they were favored. 90.5 points was their point total that the books put out for the Seattle team. The Sabres, using it as a benchmark of the worst team in the league, 67.5. Does that have to do with goaltending? Well, they've got a couple of good goaltenders in Grubauer and Dreider there. So either one is good. But a game like this, Andrew, it's not so much Seattle winning the game is Edmonton losing the game. If Edmonton plays the way they have over the course of this whole season, they win the game. If they throw in a clunker, this is where Seattle wins. We have to determine whether that's going to happen or not. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm leaning the Oilers and the over here. The Kraken returning home off that 4-game road trip where 2 wins, 2-1 and 1 on that road trip. The last road trip that they came back from, I think, was a East Coast trip, 4 or 5-game road trip. They lost to the Vancouver Canucks 4-2 at home in that first one back. I like to fade teams their first home off a road trip. This is an East Coast road trip. 1 day's rest in between after playing Detroit a couple days ago. Give me Edmonton here, minus 130. That's good enough for me.
Good enough for me as well, Carm. Before we get to your 6 and 60, I want to make sure people know about our prop show, Prop It Up. I recorded it earlier today with Mid-Major Matt and Andy Lang. That airs at 1 p.m. Eastern after WagerTalk today. I do talk some NHL prop stuff on there. Carm and I are talking NHL props quite a bit. I always tell them the props that I'm on. You guys can check out that show every Friday to kind of get some topics that I discuss as far as the NHL prop markets go. One of the things I talked about today was the combo bets, Carm. NHL teams to win and go over, win and under, a player to get a point, and their team to win, all that good stuff. So check that out at WagerTalk TV. But I'll hand the mic over to you, Carm. 6 picks in 60 seconds. You're on, man. Let's hear it.
All right, let's go. 6 and 60. New York Islanders minus 120 tomorrow against the Detroit Red Wings. They shook off the rust in that 2-1 overtime loss. Let's look for them to start stringing some wins together. The Canes, minus 1.5, losers of 5 of their last 6. They need a punching bag, and they've got the Buffalo Sabres coming in. Let's take the minus 1.5 plus money here. Boston, Tampa, analytical numbers show that this is going to be an under. So I'm taking under 5.5 on this one. Nashville, in regulation time, they've got the Habs coming. Habs are 2-10 on the road. A shakeup's coming in Montreal, but not before they lose this one. So give me the Nashville Preds minus 110. Florida minus 150. Another big comeback win for them at home, scoring 7 to win 7-4. And Vancouver, Pittsburgh over 5.5. Analytical numbers show that this one's going to be a high-scoring game. That's where we're going.
Wow. This time with 5 seconds to spare. Good stuff, Carm. That is awesome. I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you, when you're doing these, are for people out there watching and either they're looking to grab your picks for tomorrow? Not all of these are going to be client plays, right? You're going to pick some of your favorite ones, or one or two of them might be. So everybody out there watching, they have to go to your page to get your best bets.
Yeah, listen, this is, I treat this as a first look, and then you come back with fresh eyes on what you originally wrote down. So these are games where some of the analytical numbers work. Some of these games are, it's a good spot for a team at home. But at the end of the day, not all these 6 are going to end up on my betting card, either at WagerTalk or my actual betting card. In general, it's a first look, and we'll look at it. This is the fourth episode of 6 and 60. The first 2, I think, went 5 and 1 and 4 and 2, or either 4 and 2 and 4 and 2. I can't remember. Someone said 5 and 1. Last week, 6 and 60 went 3 and 3. But 2 of the winners were plus money that eked out a small profit. So we're 3 for 3 profit-wise on 6 and 60, and we'll look at it. But 1 or 2 of these will likely end up on my card once I go over the games again with fresh eyes, and then also see who the goalies are. So keep that in mind, that not all 60 of these games are ending up on my betting card. You'll know what my betting card is if you head over to WagerTalk.com and pick up that 3-day all access, Andrew.
Awesome stuff, Carm. I love the segment. It is great, and the fact you're rattling off those picks so quickly, it's great stuff. Let's jump into best bets. We'll put a bow on this show. I'm going to go ahead here and step up with the game we just talked about, Edmonton and Seattle. However, I'm going to go ahead and take it one step farther and go ahead here with the puck line. It's anywhere between plus 170, plus 175. Give me the Edmonton Oilers on the puck line for my best bet on this show. I have strong hopes for them against the Seattle team that's coming off a big road trip. Some games against some lighter teams like Detroit, like Buffalo. This is definitely a step up in class for the Kraken that I don't think they'll be ready for. And Edmonton, they've proven they have so much depth right now, they'll be too much for the Seattle Kraken. Once again, guys, tomorrow should be a big day for me. Saturday, I have a 5% UFC play, 5% CFL play. Carmine always touches on that 3-day all access. There is no better time for me to grab that package, get every single play I released this weekend, including those 2 5% plays. And I appreciate you guys all checking those out and riding with me during my hot NHL streak, 17-1 run in the NHL. Carm, I'll throw it to you because I know your pick is completely different than me, and I'll just make a disclaimer here so all of you guys out there know. Carm actually sent in his best bet before I did, and I'll leave it at that. Carm?
Yeah, it's all good. It's the Edmonton Oilers again, and I'm laying the short number with them, minus 130. I think the price is perfect for where I want to be. I would have thought this would have been about minus 155, minus 160. It's not a slight on the Seattle Kraken. They are winning games. It's just that the Oilers are playing some phenomenal hockey right now, and it's their game to lose tonight. And I don't think they're going to lose. I'm going to lay the minus 130, take them, and fade the Kraken returning home off that 4-game East Coast trip. So Edmonton Oilers for me. You guys know the cards I have up at WagerTalk. You can head over there, pick up the individual cards or the 3-day all access. Andrew, just before you close it out, I did see a comment in our live chat from someone who has an all access and just wondering, because I haven't seen your 5% plays, whether they're loaded yet, or maybe check in to make sure that those plays went out to everyone.
Yeah, the analysis is just being finished. I don't like to get my plays out until the analysis is fully finished. So I literally have my laptop up with those plays ready to be submitted after this show, and just click that button so you guys can grab those plays, both of them. But make sure you grab that 3-day all access and get every play I'm on over the next 3 days. But power plays, not much of a recap here. Edmonton, and more Edmonton. Let's get a big night for the Edmonton Oilers over the Seattle Kraken. On behalf of Carmine, all of our guests we have this week, Joe Ranieri behind the scenes, I'm Andrew McInnis, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Founded in 1957, The Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter. Each week, the Gold Sheet team delivers analysis on NFL and college football games, along with NBA and college basketball matchups. The Gold Sheet maintains in-depth point spread and results logs, giving sports bettors and enthusiasts the insights needed to maximize their wagers. For over 60 years, Gold Sheet readers have received key releases based on power rankings on all teams, and for the first time ever, you can now get these selections exclusively at goldsheet.com, WagerTalk.com, and Sportsman Mode.